What is the percentage of people that were with Dr. King when he was assassinated? What percentage of the country do you think supported him? What would your guess be?
Welcome back. Another week, another episode of The Word Made Fresh. I'm Reverend Jim Keat, joined once again by our senior minister, the Reverend Adriene Thorne, who is not preaching this Sunday, MLK weekend. Adriene, what's going on at Riverside? And if you're not preaching, who is?
Well, we are really excited to welcome Reverend Rashad Raymond Moore, PhD, to the Riverside pulpit this Sunday. He is a Morehouse graduate, and I know him from activist and organizing work that I do in the city through Metro IAF. And like Dr. King, I think I said before, he's a graduate of Morehouse College. I believe his doctorate is from Columbia. Yes, it is from Teachers College, Columbia University. His doctorate is in philosophy and education. So I know him as a really wonderful speaker, really amazing activist and organizer here in the city of New York. But I think what I most appreciate is before I knew all of his accolades, just how kind, thoughtful, and humble he is. He certainly has the pedigree, but I personally appreciate knowing people and finding out that they have all of these accolades, but they haven't led with that. There were several opportunities for me to be in the room with Reverend Moore. And that didn't come up. So a lot of people lead with that, I am this person and I went to this
In case you
place.
don't know, I'm really smart and important now. Yeah.
Exactly. So just for me personally, I appreciate someone like that who shows up to do the work, shows up when they're asked, speaks when they're needed, but doesn't
Yeah.
need to be, or at least in my experience of him, doesn't need to be the focal point or the spotlight. So I was really excited to welcome him to the pulpit this year for MLK Sunday.
That's going to be great.
Yes.
I mean, and MLK Sunday, I think, is an important day for churches everywhere. It's not a
Hmm.
liturgical holiday, so we're got to make sure that's clear. We didn't sneak, after Epiphany suddenly comes King Day. There is, Reign of Christ Day. That's a whole different day.
Uh-huh.
But this King Day, give us a little bit on that, because I know you have lots of good back pocket hot takes on the liturgical season and then all these societal and cultural things.
Mm.
Why does this one creep into the door at Riverside? Maybe that's a little more obvious, but then why should churches anywhere consider this day?
Well, I think it's important for churches that care about love and justice and care about the neighbor and the folks on the margin, because Reverend King, and I have started trying to push myself to call him Reverend King, not to disrespect his PhD work, but to remind us that he was a man of faith. I think what is becoming more and more apparent to me in this present age is how people are attempting to soften the sharp edges of who Reverend King was. And one of the ways I think that happens is us calling him Dr. King and forgetting that he was a pastor, forgetting that he had theological education, and forgetting that he spoke, thus saith the Lord, from a pulpit most Sundays. That his justice work was grounded, like deeply, deeply grounded and rooted in his understanding of himself as a follower of Jesus. And that's some work we've been trying to do at Riverside. And I would say at all the churches that I've led, that as people of faith, we do this work because we are people of faith. We are emboldened, fueled by uh, the power of the Holy Spirit. And that's something that I'm not sure that people who are pure activists or pure lovers of justice, that they understand. This work is exhausting. It is taking more than our lifetime. It took more than Dr. King's lifetime. We are still fighting for the check that came back marked insufficient funds that he describes in his speech. And so to remind us that he was a person of faith, I am making myself say Reverend Thorne. So all of that to say that if you are a justice loving community of faith, Dr. King matters, because he did what I think so many of us aspire to, which is to link those things together in a way that shifted minds and hearts and was able to impact legislation. But something to keep in mind, I was just at our Multi Faith Witness to Democracy on Monday evening, and one of the speakers said, "What is the percentage of people that were with Dr. King when he was assassinated? What percentage of the country do you think supported him? What would your guess be?
I mean, I think I know a little bit of this. I'm doing some research myself. I know it was not very large. I don't know the
Not
exact
very
number,
much.
but was it? I would know it's less than half. It was a
Yes,
minority, but what is it actually? What was
25%.
25? Oh my
25%.
goodness.
A quarter of the country was behind him. And I mean, and there's so much in that, so many lessons in that. So I think as the church, and I think as progressive justice seeking churches are out here doing the work around immigration. I mean, this woman was shot in Minneapolis yesterday.
Yeah.
Renee Nicole Good was shot. I think we need to be reminded that the majority of the people are not going to be with us when we are
Yeah.
pushing back against the government, pushing back against empire, when we're out in the streets. And there's a wonderful historian that I follow on social media. I think his name is Todd Stormer. And he said that no significant movement in the United States has happened without a body count.
Wow.
That I mean, and Dr. King knew that. I mean, his body added to the body count.
Yeah.
So there are sharp edges to this. Dr. King reminds us that our faith is not um, easy. It's not passive. And so but neither was Jesus's faith and what he did. I mean, he also added to the body count, right? He
Yeah.
also was murdered by the state. So I think this is why this matters. I think there are tie-ins to the um, the Jesus that we follow. And I think it is central. Dr. King helps us to center in on what is called of us, the costly price of what it means to follow Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's where there's so many he's one of so many bodies who have been counted, and we
Yeah,
need to tell all those stories.
yeah,
Dr. King is necessarily one that we continue to speak of because of the particularity of his work within Christian spaces.
yeah,
So he's one of our own, he's
yeah.
part of our community, and we are just continuing his legacy by sharing these things. And then, I mean, as is pretty obvious, Riverside has a very particular connection to Dr. King's legacy. We were a pulpit that he visited regularly, I think almost every year, in the 60s, culminating with his Beyond Vietnam speech, which was his final speech delivered at Riverside and delivered 1 year to the day of his assassination.
Yep.
Interestingly, too, I mean, there's kind of a couple turns in King's work we've all seen, civil rights, and then economics, and then Vietnam, and every time he kept turning, his ratings kept plummeting because it
That's right.
made more and more systems and powers and politicians and pastors less and less comfortable. And it's like, stay in your lane, kid. You
Right.
you you just talk about race. Why are you talking about money? Why are you talking about war? And not
Right.
realizing there's an intersectionality, which, so Riverside is a place where one of those
Mhm.
intersections very publicly happened with the Beyond Vietnam speech. If you only know the I Have a Dream speech, which most people only know the last, you know, epilogue of the I Have a Dream speech, they don't even know the actual speech. You
That's
got to
right.
read Beyond Vietnam. That needs to
Yeah.
be on your reading list, not
Or
just for.
listen to the entire "I Have a Dream" speech, because
Yes,
that's the speech where he talks about the um, the check
the
that's
check.
been
Yeah,
written and it has come back marked insufficient funds because America is not willing to pay what
yeah,
she owes. She owes people. It's a very powerful speech, and of course, what has been cherry picked are the things that soften everything into a dream. So we're
yes.
in this haze, oh, a dream, and oh, we can all get along, and the content of our character. And those words have been twisted, right, to do away with DEI. Oh, we don't see color. We're going to deal with the content of one's character. We don't see gender. We don't see orientation. No, we see those things. Those things matter and they are important.
Yeah,
What we're also challenging people to do, and this is off, topic of the sermon on Sunday, but the next day, January 19th, when we gather for our Multi Faith Monday Witness to Democracy, we're asking those who participate to bring their favorite King quote. But the challenge is not to bring oh, I know that quote, right? Don't bring us the I have a dream and my four little children and the content of their character. Great words. We want to hear um, the quotes that don't get elevated or uplifted. We want to hear the sharp edges. We want to hear the things that call us to action, especially in the wake of the murder of this woman in Minneapolis. Dr. King had some things to say about state sanctioned violence and a God who would rise up to break the backbone of America's power. That's one of my favorite
Ooh.
quotes of his. He's like, you keep messing around, right? God will break you. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and this part of King where he saw the connections is of course what got him killed. It's the same thing that got Jesus killed.
Yep.
You're bringing people together when the empire is doing everything it can to divide Venezuelans from Somalians, from African Americans. I'm still seeing in the comments, and I'm not saying that it's not founded. There has always been, and this has been created by empire, um, a tension between African Americans and Africans saying, I'm not that. African Americans saying, I'm not African. Venezuelans thinking, oh, yes, they should deport the criminals. And it's like, oh my God, now he's deporting us. So there are all of these groups of people who are pointing fingers. And what King did and what Jesus did, and I think what our faith calls us to do, is to recognize our humanity and our commonality as children of God. Because once that happens, as many people say, there's more of us than there are of the empire. There more of us than Elon Musk's and Jeff Bezos and Donald Trump and the hegemonic 1%. And when we come together and remember that, um, we will win.
Yeah.
But when we allow ourselves to be divided, we will kill each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's why we lean in this weekend.
Yes.
So you mentioned Monday, but
Yeah.
back up to Sunday.
Sure.
If you're in the New York area, you should join these. Give it the Moral Movement Mondays. What's the official name of that Monday?
Multi Faith Monday, Witness to Democracy.
There
So
we
we
go.
gather
Every
every
Monday at
Monday.
5:30 in Columbus Circle, right?
Columbus Circle, just 5:30 to 6. It's just a quick 30 minutes to like reinvigorate us and remind us why we do this work that we do. But
But
on Sunday,
Sunday,
Sunday we
yes.
have this amazing guest preacher, Reverend Rashad Raymond Moore, PhD, who will be in the pulpit. He was the King Scholar when he was at Morehouse, and so that's
Mm,
exciting. And I imagine for him, I don't want to put words in his mouth. It's a big deal to stand in this pulpit. I think as an African American preacher, as African American male preacher, but also an alumni of the same school that Dr. King attended. So we're expecting a really powerful message from Reverend Dr. Moore. Following worship, lunch is always for purchase, but our caterers will be making a soul food lunch for purchase. And so everyone is invited to come and fellowship and have some really good, yummy food. And then at 2:30, the doors of the church will open. And as you enter, we will be playing one of the sermons that Dr. King preached from Riverside. And what I'm excited about, our archivist, Justin Davis, went into the archives and found this particular speech. It's about the foolish man, the one who's storing up all of the grain in the silos, not knowing that he's dying that night. There's an extended commentary from Dr. King about Riverside, about the choir and the organ and the support they have shown him in the work he has done in the South. So Justin thought, oh, this will be really nice to hear for Riversiders and others to hear Dr. King thanking the church and saying what he loves about Riverside. And then he launches into this amazing sermon. It's about 40 minutes. We won't be able to play the whole thing because at 3 o'clock, our program begins. We'll have an organ prelude, and backed by that will be images of Dr. King, again from our archives, times that he's been at Riverside, images from him delivering the Beyond Vietnam speech, and you will hear our own, I almost said Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Gums, our music director, will underscore those images playing on our world famous Aeolian Skinner organ. Um, we are joined in this program offering by our friends at the Episcopal Divinity School. So the very Reverend Lydia Kelsey Buckland, President and Dean, will introduce our guest speaker, who is the Reverend Canon Kelly Brown Douglas, who is the theologian in residence at the Washington, D.C. National Cathedral. Dean Kelly, or Canon Kelly now, is a womanist scholar, a prolific author, amazing human being who is going to bring us a word in what I hope will be an inaugural partnership with Episcopal Divinity School. There will be music, there will be dance. Freddie Moore, founder of Footprints Dance Company, instructor at the Alvin Ailey School, will embody a Dr. King speech that is in dialogue with an Barack Obama speech, so that should be amazing. We have multiple choirs. One is a children and youth choir. So it'll be a dynamite and dynamic event. It is open to the public. It is free. We feel it is our responsibility and our joy to bring the message of this great man who continues to inspire so many, to bring that as a gift to New York City. You can
Mm,
stream it online wherever you are in the country or the world, and enjoy what we hope will be a rousing day that continues to
mm,
invite people out onto the field of love and justice that we need to be on as we're watching our government murder citizens in the
mm.
street.
Yeah, that's the contrast. I mean,
Right?
it's recognizing, maybe it's not so much a contrast, the way that the government had a lot of involvement in Dr. King's latter
Very.
years of his life, and the scrutiny and the threats on his life, and America keeps America-ing, it seems, and we just
Yeah.
power keeps doing what power does in its ugliest. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we need weekends like this that will be filled with joy and celebration, and looking at the legacy for who King actually was and is, not just the sanitized version that all the Hallmark cards make him out to be today,
Mhm.
um, and inviting us to continue that work today. I mean, it echoes to me how you talk about Riverside is not the historic Riverside Church, we're the history making, and we
That's
need to
right.
continue to be history making
That's
people. We
right.
can't just look back at we can't live in the shadows of the monuments of our past. We have to
Right.
continue to spark the movement in our world today.
Right, and let that past be like a wave that carries us into the next thing. I think
Yeah.
it's important also to remember um, what happened in Minneapolis with this mother of a 6-year-old, right? Renee Nicole Good getting shot. This is who America is.
Yeah.
But what we were reminded at a rally in New York City that same night is America is also the people who show up at these rallies. Like
Mm.
America is also Dr. King, and America is also people of faith who say we are going to push back against this government. We are going to take down fascism. We are not going to let what is trying to take root in our country take root. We're going to protect our neighbors. We are going to look out for one another. We're going to make sure that people have the medicine that the government is denying them, and the health care that the government is denying them, and the food that they need to stay alive. I mean, that is
Mhm.
just completely insane. So while this is what America is, we also get to say America is
Yep.
something else as well.
That's not the full picture. That
That's
that is part of the picture, sadly. But if we only focus on that, we're missing out on the legacy of people who've always said it doesn't have to be that.
that's
Humanity has some good angels in us too, and we can bring those to the
absolutely.
surface. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would say again, just to reiterate as a pastor, as people of faith, we move in this way, in this world, because of our understanding of who we are as folks connected to
Yeah.
Jesus and who love God. Right?
Yeah.
It's not our own steam. And the reason I emphasize that so much, even as I'm, exhausted being at the rally and exhausted getting this call and that call, um, the only reason we're able to get up and make these recordings and show up every Sunday and try to inspire and encourage and hold each other up, because it's not just the clergy who are doing the holding up, it's all people of faith. But we do that, I believe, always because of a supernatural strength. It's not our own steam that we're doing this
Yeah.
on. And King didn't do it on his own steam. He didn't do it because he thought it was a great idea. He often didn't want to do it, right?
Mm.
25% support, people threatening him, bombing his house, threatening his wife and
Yeah.
children. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But as we're being reminded, these movements in America and around the world have a body count. And he
Yeah.
knew, and I think got very clear, and you'll hear that in the I Have a Dream speech. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. And he
Yeah.
didn't. He didn't get there with us. And I think that those are the sharp edges that I think the current powers want people to forget. People are
Yep.
going to die, right? People are
Yep.
going to suffer. Somebody's not going to make it. Just like Moses didn't make it to the promised land, right? He got the people as far as he could. And that's what our faith calls us to do. We move the needle or the ball, whatever your metaphor is, down the field a little bit more and do the handoff, knowing that the thing that we're fighting for, we may not live to see.
Yeah.
But we dream of a future that's better for our children, our grandchildren, and the many generations that we just may not see.
Well, we don't get a sermon from you on Sunday, but I'm glad we got one in this video. So everybody, just put this on repeat for MLK weekend, but join us for all of this. Sunday morning Bible study at 9:30 in the room and on Zoom. We'll be looking at something, I don't know what exactly yet, but it'll be fantastic. Worship is going to be as incredible as you imagine from this conversation. And then obviously stick around, whether you are in New York or online, join us for this MLK Now 2026 event at the Riverside Church. Watch it on Sunday. It'll be online, so you can watch it on Monday too as well. You can watch it all year long. I think, that's the thing about these days is we often have the one ceremonial day, you check the box and we can move on. But it's like, no, we need to let these words, especially the sharper edges, continue to make an impact on our life the day after and the day after and the day after. So
Right.
I'm grateful that we work at a place that is trying to take that seriously and do that work. And I think we all need more and more of that. So Sunday, we'll see you all there, everybody. Have a good week.